All right, so in section one, we saw the rise and fall of the Ming and then the invasion of the Manchus that started the Qing dynasty. In section two, we're going to look at Ming and Qing society. We're going to look at the economy, the family, and the arts and culture of this era. Now, during this era, you see a lot of economic changes take place in China. Right? There's an increased food supply due to the development of new agricultural crops. Also, that Grand Canal makes transporting crops easier. Because of that, there's a population increase, particularly after the Qing takeover and everything settles down. There's no war, there's no civil war, there's no rebellion going on. You're going to have a population increase. Unfortunately, what that's going to mean is there's going to be a land shortage. A lot of the property is going to be owned by a few. Now, there will be attempts to reform this. Unfortunately, none of them really succeed, which is interesting because in the 1900s, when the communists began to try to take over China, one of the things they promised the poor is, hey, we're going to spread the wealth around. We're going to spread the land around, which is very appealing to the peasant farmers. So like I said, they try to put land ownership limits on people so you can only own a certain amount of land. But oftentimes, the royal court doesn't want to press that too far because then that would anger the nobility. Okay? You do see a growth of trade and manufacturing in China, particularly during the Qing dynasty, when the Manchus take over. But you never see in China the kind of commercial capitalism you see in Europe. Commercial capitalism is a vocabulary phrase, business based on profit. Right? And there's a couple of reasons why you don't see commercial capitalism developed as strongly in China like you do in Europe. One is the government strictly controlled trade. It would, set, for instance, how much porcelain a factory could make. And so instead of being ran by an entrepreneur, a business owner who's in it just for the money, the government is stepping in and trying to control that trade. Also, don't forget, we learned this back in section one when we talked about the voyages of Zheng He being stopped. Trade and manufacturing was viewed as inferior compared to farming. Technically, in Chinese society, a peasant farmer outranked a rich merchant. I mean, technically, you'd rather be a rich merchant than a poor peasant farmer, of course. But that's because the peasant farmer, it was seen as, they make something, they do something. A merchant makes money off someone else's work, so they are less respected. They're viewed as a parasite, and their profession is not respected because of that. Right? There's heavy taxes on trade and manufacturing. This is very different than what you see in Europe and even the Ottoman Empire. In the Ottoman Empire that we learned about last chapter, merchants were often given tax breaks to encourage business. It's the same in Europe. It's the same right now in the United States. Sometimes cities and states will give tax breaks to companies to lure them in. Right? Please set up shop here. Right? We'll give you a tax break because we think, hey, you're going to create jobs, which in the long run is good for the economy. But in China, right, since they because of traditional Confucianism, right, and traditional Chinese values view trade and manufacturing as inferior, they're almost going to punish it through heavy taxes. So you're never going to see that strong commercial capitalism, which in the long run for China probably was not the best thing, because in Europe with that commercial capitalism, that business based on profit, entrepreneurs, business owners are always looking for an advantage, right? So they're always going to be investing in new technology, like eventually the steam engine, for instance. Anything that will give them an edge over the competition. And you're not going to see that in China. So you're not going to see that push to develop technology in China like you're going to see in Europe because of that weak commercial capitalism. Now we're going to look at family in China, because family is everything in China, right? That was your security, right? So you had your immediate family, right? That's your mom and dad, your brothers and sisters, right? You had your immediate family. But the ideal family unit was the extended family. This would be grandma, grandpa, your aunt, uncle, and your cousins. Oftentimes, the extended family would live together, either in the same house or on the same property. And a lot of times modern Westerners, particularly Americans, particularly American teens, cringe at that idea of having to share that space. One, if that's what you grew up in, you wouldn't know any better. But also, right, your extended family, right, you would pool all your labor together to help each other out, right? Your extended family, that was part of your security network. And beyond the extended family, you have the clan, which is a series of related families, which was another layer of protection, right? See, back then, if there's no government assistance, there's no health insurance, right? So if you needed something, you had to rely on your family, you had to rely on your extended family. If need be, you had to rely on your clan. Members of your clan could financially support your family through their struggle until you got back on your feet, and then you would do the same for another clan member, or maybe one clan member moves to a different city, right? He could live temporarily with his clan members till he could set himself up in that city. Your clan was everything. That was your protection. And if you stop to think about it, we still have that. It's just our close knit clan isn't necessarily based on blood anymore. It's based on friendship. We kind of form our own clans where we have friends that are like family, that we count on, that we can rely on in times of crises and emergencies, and vice versa, right? So your clan, that was your security network. They offered you protection, financial support if you needed it, right? So you pull your resources together. So the ideal family unit was the extended family, and then you would rely on your clan for emergencies and also for connections and political networking. Now, within Chinese society itself, right, it's a male-dominated society. Women are subservient to men, right? So in Confucianism, right, the husband is placed above the wife, for instance, and the father placed above the children, particularly the daughters. But within the actual running of the household itself, the wife is tremendously important. Moms, right, always matter no matter the society. In your lower income families, the wives, they're going to chip in with their labor. They're going to help out in the fields. They're going to help bring in the harvest, right? They're going to do side jobs to bring money into the family. And within the household itself, the day-to-day runnings of the house, right, the wife is going to be very, very important, right? But in society as a whole, right, the wives are not going to have as many legal rights, for instance, as the husband, right? It's not like the Ottoman Empire where women had quite a few legal rights. It's more similar to what you saw in Europe during the 1600s, even into the 1700s, where women do not have as many legal rights as men do. Now, something that took place during this time period that does not happen in China anymore, that is very hard for Westerners to wrap their head around, is the practice of foot binding, right? In traditional Chinese society, right, there is this ideal of beauty, right? And every society has their ideal of beauty, and it changes from culture to culture to time period and time period, right? At one point, females wanted to have a pale complexion, right? Alabaster skin. But today, women and some men pay good money to go to a tanning booth or to get sprayed on tan. So beauty changes from culture to culture and time period to time period. And at this point in Chinese history, Ming and Qing China, right, the ideal woman was small and petite, right? Itty bitty. Right? So to do anything to fit that standard of beauty, right? One of the things that someone did was foot binding, which, think of it like very crude plastic surgery. The process would start when the girl was very young, and you would bind up her feet, hence the name, very, very tight, until eventually the bones within the foot begin to break and change and become deformed, right? So when they were in they could fit into these teeny tiny little shoes. So the foot would look teeny tiny, right? Small and petite. Now you take x-rays of it, this is what the foot looks like. Notice the exaggerated arch of the foot, right? Now this process is not done anymore. In fact, when the communists take over, they ban foot binding, right? But not only was this a sign of physical beauty, it was also a sign of wealth, because if you go through the process of foot binding, you can't really walk, obviously. You certainly can't work out in the fields, right? So if you went through the process of foot binding, that means that your family is rich enough not to count on you for labor, right? So it was not just, hey, I'm going to fit into the standard beauty. It was also saying to a potential mate from another family, hey, my family comes from money, right? Because I don't have to work, because I went through the process of foot binding, right? A poor peasant girl, she can't go through this process. She's got to be out in the field. She's got to be bringing in the harvest. She's got to be able to work. She's got to be mobile, right? So if you go through the process of foot binding, right, you're letting people know, hey, I'm from a wealthy family, as opposed to one that has less money.